Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am your father.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Yes. And you're not sure about this, are you?
You're gonna die, clown!
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? Sir? The most you ever lost on a coin toss. Call it.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby.
Bring out today!
This is a tasty burger.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Hello, welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Arianna.
And we have a third person on the podcast.
Three's a crowd.
Yeah. Arianna, so how do we know each other first, and then we can get into how you know Ben?
Okay. So, Russell and I know each other because we did a summer program called Dream Careers out in LA.
We did.
Very weird situation of how we actually became friends. But
Yep. Yeah.
we became friends like the last week of the program?
Yeah,
or so?
we became friends because a disaster happened out there, and we're not going to use any names or any examples. Ben, we'll tell you off air, but it was a disaster in the most legitimate of senses. Yeah,
I'm curious now. You, what was it? As DiCaprio said, you something about you got my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
yeah, it was very, very weird. It's one of those stories that people don't believe unless someone else is there to verify the story. So, yeah, it was definitely an experience. So, yeah, that's how we know each other. And then how do you guys know each other?
Through you.
Yeah, through you.
Okay.
We're going to be writing partners
Yes.
/ directing partners, a
Yeah.
directing duo, if you want to call that.
Yeah, it'll
Yes.
be fun. I'm excited for all of this, and I decided since we are all big Game of Thrones fans and we are all podcast fans that we should trifecta up on this episode. Also, this episode is the first one that we're going to have a video portion for. I apologize that I look dripping wet. I literally just got out of a shower, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot we're recording this one. I have to put like a shirt on and pretend to be professional on my own show. So, yeah. How have you guys been this last week?
It's been good. Still reeling from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
No complaints on this side. I'm still processing like my feelings about this last episode.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've watched the last episode 3 times now. And every time I watch it, I have very different feelings for better and worse. Like, some things I really dislike now, and other things I really like, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, before we get into Game of Thrones and all of that, Ben, you have a lot of gear with you right now. What the hell is going on?
More or less just like testing out this new stuff. I got like a whole package. Like it wasn't all together, but I was able to get together a microphone, a boom stand, and a little audio interface, all for and an XLR cable for less than $100.
Wow.
Who
impressive.
did you rob, and how did you get away with it?
All from Amazon.
Really?
Wow.
The microphone is a newer, however the hell you want to pronounce that name, brand. I've bought several like camera gear stuff from them, and it's always quality stuff, like pretty decently built. So I figured I might as well pull the trigger on a microphone package that came with the boom mic or the boom stand and the mic, and that was like $30.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I think I should get on that because I have this microphone, which I use, and then a backup one. But I need a stand because mine may have broken in a non-me related incident. I'm lying. It totally...
Which tells us that
it wasn't you. Yeah.
It wasn't me.
You.
Yeah, it wasn't me getting out of a chair too quickly and throwing it across the room with my elbow by accident. It had nothing to do with that. So, but yeah. And then, Arianna, can you... Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I have headphones. They're actually like sitting off to the side because I'm trusting that this audio is recording properly. If not, oops. But yeah, so... No, I'm fairly certain it's recording. So, guys, there's a lot of movie news this past week, or since we recorded last time, which has been a little over a week. So I'm going to read off a few things, and we can go through it, but I'm going to start with a piece of news we got last week because it ties into our main topic for today. That Dan and Dave, the two showrunners from Game of Thrones, are going to be spearheading the new Star Wars trilogy. What are you guys' thoughts?
I don't know yet. That's like the best I can do is just like we've all seen what they can do with source material.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, and it was some of the best quality television we have. And then, it's really up to, or it's arguable, whatever your stance is with the final 2 seasons, like what they do when they're left to their own devices. I'm cautiously optimistic about it because, I have not hated anything that they've done, like with Game of Thrones, like by themselves. Like I'm not one of those people that jumped on a petition to change anything, but it's just kind of like, if they make a good movie or two, cool. If they don't, whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I'd rather see the Rian Johnson version than theirs right now. I need a little break from Dan and Dave. But that's not a bad thing. I'm not like talking smack about them creatively or anything. I would just like to see a Rian Johnson version because I loved The Last Jedi so much. Arianna, what do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, how, like Ben, you said with the source material, but can they do something that's so iconic as Star Wars?
Yeah.
And
that is the question.
Where people aren't going to be so critical like they are with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Star Wars fandom is a lot more opinionated in a good way and sometimes in a bad way than Game of Thrones. I mean, I don't think they'll make a petition.
Yeah, oh my god. We're going to get into that. I have some very strong opinions about that petition and in general doing petitions to remake stuff because I have an opinion as a fan and also as a creator. I have some very serious serious opinions on those sort of petitions. Next piece of news that we have is the Black Mirror Season 4 trailer dropped. And there's only going to be 3 episodes. What do you guys think if you have seen it?
I mean, I didn't think Miley Cyrus was going to be in it.
That was weird.
I guess hop on the pop culture and get as many people as you can.
Yeah, I guess so. Ben, what are you thinking?
I have zero connection to Black Mirror because I've seen 0 episodes of any season of Black Mirror.
What?
I know. I should excuse myself right now. But yeah, I just have not seen it. I've heard great things about several episodes in particular, but I have not seen the trailer for this upcoming season, so I'm kind of like in the dark about all this.
Okay. I'll explain Black Mirror to everyone who's never seen it. It's what if the universe went to shit and it was because of a cell phone. That's Black Mirror. Yeah.
They have some really good episodes with like the, what was it, the CGI? Not the CGI, the one with the guy got implanted.
Oh, chip in the brain. Yeah, chip in the brain stuff. Yeah.
Stuff that like some people think actually can happen and now everyone's like, oh, technology can ruin our lives, but yet we'll still use it every day.
Yeah, I always joke that the technology that I'm going to sign off for and be like, yeah, I'm not about this, is chip in the brain. But I'll be back for chip in the brain version 2. Chip in the brain version 1, I'm out. Chip in the brain version 2, they worked out all the kinks. Give me that chip in the brain.
Yeah. Although I did do Bandersnatch. Now, I was a little bit upset that you had to go on your computer to do it. You couldn't do it on the TV.
I was too. That was the only thing that made me upset. But I think it was a really cool concept. And there's one of the ends I looked up online was so weird. I'm not going to spoil it until Ben does it. But there's like one that goes way out in left field.
Yeah.
And it gets very
So then you
supernatural.
basically you can just like make your own story with the options.
Right. It's like it's like a choose your own adventure for the 21st century.
Yeah.
I heard about Bandersnatch. I haven't actually seen any of or read about any of the endings, so like I'm still pretty spoiler free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of these days, right before I cancel Netflix after it's upped its price to like $50 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
Yeah, I feel you on that one for sure. But no, it's cool. Black Mirror is good. You should actually get into it. Some episodes are much better than others, and it's an anthology series, so you don't have to watch them in order. You can kind of watch them in order of worst to best or vice versa, depending on what way you want to take that. So it is cool. But there is like kind of a connected universe, sort of, maybe, kind of.
Just loosely enough, probably to like pique some like fan interest or something, like little insider stuff.
There's an episode that connects them.
I think I would say it's kind of like American Horror Story, where you don't have to watch every season.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, same people are in it, but not really.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really good. I do recommend it. It'll make you think. Some of them make you think, and other ones just make you profoundly depressed and make you never want to go on your phone again. Next,
you're really selling it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You should totally watch it. Next one is Chris Rock is going to be doing the new Saw reboot. So I think he's Jordan Peeling Saw. Like he's heading it. And I don't know if that means he's going to be in it as well, or he's just doing the writing and producing. But I'm incredibly intrigued.
I think he's probably taking more of a producer stance, because I can never see like a Saw movie, whether it's rebooted or not, like starring Chris Rock and me supposed to not laugh at this and like not take it serious.
That is true, because he's such a comedy icon. Yeah.
But if he's got ideas, I mean, if he's kicking around ideas in his head about how to redo it in a fresh way, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah. Arianna, are you a big horror person?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably the least horror out of the three of us then, because I've just started getting into horror because I just turned into an adult this year. So I have seen Saw 1 through 4, I think. I think Saw 1 through 4 I've seen. Or maybe 5. I don't remember. They all kind of blend together. 1 through 3 are all very, very good. And then I think I saw 4. Which is the one
where I left off too. Which
is the one where the guy's walking on the block of ice for the entire movie?
I think that's 3.
Maybe. Then I've seen 1 through 3. That's the one I stopped at.
My old roommate she loves horror.
Uh-huh.
So every October we had to watch like all the Saws straight through.
Oh, I think we may have to do that for this podcast, and then I'm going to end up hating this podcast because I've just seen so many people get violently murdered.
Listen, if you made it through your quest to watch every or the first 8 parts of Friday the 13th, like I asked you to, you could Saw.
Yeah, I remember I saw the first Saw movie. I was way too young. I saw the first Saw movie. I was like 12, which is too young to watch Saw. Especially not knowing what it is. Like, if I was prepped... Because I saw Alien when I was, like, 6, and I was fine. Because I knew what I was getting into. But I was not prepped for Saw. And also, home invasion is my biggest fear.
On topic of watching Alien way too early, my kids sat down and watched Ghostbusters with me.
Yeah.
And, of course, like, my daughter's like, I like Dana, like Sigourney Weaver's character. And I was just, offhand, I was like, yeah, Sigourney Weaver, she's in one of my favorite movies ever, like Alien. And then, of course, both of my kids are like, can we watch it? And I'm like, it's really not that bad. And I was like, sure, maybe we should. I haven't yet, because immediately my thought went to, oh, wait, the most iconic scene in this whole series is a guy's chest exploding violently. Maybe I should wait a few more years before I show this to my 4- and 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, I feel like... I feel like your kids will be really battle-hardened after that one. They'll be like, nothing scares us. We saw Alien when we were 5. And, like, that's one of those, like, things where, like, they become, like, movie producers. It's like, so why'd you get into movies? Oh, our dad showed us Alien when we were 5. It's like, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my dad used to make me watch, like, all the Godfather movies with him.
Yeah.
When I was, like, 6.
Before we get to the other piece of news, what is the first movie that really scared you? Like... to the core. Like, it doesn't have to be a horror movie. What's the first movie that, like, terrified you to, like, the, like, deepest fiber of your being? Because I have one.
It's a tough one.
I don't know if anything's ever, like, done me that well. I've had moments where I felt, like, so nervous that I felt sick. Or something that, like, unreasonably made me, like, kind of, like, uneasy or nervous. And funny enough, like, Mars Attacks
really
was that movie for me, because, like,
interesting.
I don't know, something about, like, because that movie was so, like, just mean-spirited, and well, I love that movie, but, like, back when I was maybe like 7, 8 years old when that movie came out, seeing, like, just people get randomly vaporized and aliens laughing about it, that was kind of different.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
like, that was, like, an especially Tim Burton movie for me to see it. That, it messed me up a little bit, I think, just for, like, a little bit.
Yeah, I could see how that would do that, especially if you see it really young. Arianna, what about you?
I guess kind of been like most creepiest, I guess, is I watched Human Centipede.
Oh, God.
When I was in, like, 7th grade, because my older brothers and his friends wanted to watch it, and they let me watch it with them.
Yeah, that'll do it. I've actually never seen that movie all the way through in one sitting. I have seen probably 97% of the film, but in different, like, segments.
I watched it in 2 times. The first one was with my brother and his friends, like, when I was in, like, 7th grade. I watched half of it and said, nope, I'm done, went upstairs. And then a year later, I was at my friend's house. He was like, oh, let's watch this. We've never seen it. And I was like, I'll come at the end. I've already seen the beginning. Yeah,
I understand. But yeah, those are both good picks. Mine is way different. The movie that really scared me to my core was, maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't, it's Princess Mononoke. It's a Hayao Miyazaki film. It's animated. It just freaked me out with the pig, like the demon pig monster thing. And a lot of the really well-drawn imagery was just so weird because it wasn't real. It's just so over the top. That and Spirited Away. It just freaked me out for some reason when I was a kid. Now I love those movies. I genuinely love those films. But as a little kid, those just, like, haunted me. And, like, I have this weird irrational fear of pigs because of it. And that's why the Saw movies get to me, because the pig mask. Something about pigs freaks me the hell out. So, yeah. I know. Now people out there know one of my secrets, or one of the things that freaks me out is pigs.
You know they can, like, eat a corpse completely whole, right? And not leave any trace.
I did. Yeah. Someone else told me that when I told them I was scared of pigs, and I'm like, thank you. Like, this is definitely helping with my irrational fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Criminal Minds taught me that one.
Oh, great show. I love police procedurals. They're the best.
Yeah, Deadwood and Hannibal.
Oh, yeah.
Deal with that too.
Yeah.
Which I just started watching Deadwood because I never watched the series before because I wanted to watch it before the TV movie comes out.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far.
I should get into it.
I've never, in the very first episode, I had never heard a show say the word cocksucker more
than Deadwood.
That's
awesome. I feel like, yeah, that's one of those things with, like, writers is like, I like this term. We're going to put in there 1,000,000 times. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. I should get into it because I saw the thing for the movie on HBO. I'm like, I should definitely get into this. It looks really fantastic. But Grumpy Cat died. I'm going to just skim past that one. That's just on my list of shit. Then we have the Toy Story 4 trailer. Personally, I don't give much of a shit about this. What do you guys think?
I think they're just going off nostalgia. Everyone loved Toy Story 3. You got all the other, when we were all younger, that was the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're coming back 18 years later, or longer now. But going off the nostalgia, I think adding a new little spork thing was kind of...
Yeah, it's Buster.
Smart to bring other things in.
Yeah. It's Buster from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the last trailer, the one that just came out, whatever, like a day or two ago. I mean, I know I'm probably going to see it anyway because my kids love all the Toy Story movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like on with you guys' attitude. It's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because like, the third Toy Story, it ended it so perfectly.
Yeah.
I really don't understand why we need another one except for, ka-ching on Disney's part.
Yeah. It's kind of like saying you don't need a sequel to a lot of things. If the first one's good, You don't need a second one.
Yeah, I do feel that. I mean, I'll probably go see it for this podcast, but I don't really care, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Though I think I saw something for Pixar. They said that their next 3 or 4 movies, maybe like 2 or 3 movies after this, are all going to be original stories.
There we go. I'm very happy.
Beat Nick.
Yep. And then a trailer I do care about, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the first official full-length trailer came out, and we got our look at Charles Manson in the film. I am so hyped about this movie. Like, the level of hype is like Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones level hype for this film. And when the Margot Robbie's character is like, oh, Charlie will love you, I'm like, and then they showed him, I'm like, this dude looks like Charles Manson.
Yeah, it was that moment when she said, like, Charlie, love you. Like, I turned off the trailer because I'm like, okay, I don't want to see anymore. I want to go into completely fresh. Yeah, I didn't end up watching the whole thing, and the only I haven't read any full review, but I just saw like on Rotten Tomatoes that said like it got a 7-minute standing ovation at Cannes Film Festival.
Oh yeah,
okay, that's all I need to know. I even if people were saying like, oh, this movie isn't up to his usual standards, I still would have been there day one to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing with The Star Is Born. Like, I wasn't really that into seeing it, but then once I heard Lady Gaga got her standing ovation, it was like, up now. Now I gotta see it.
Yeah.
That actually came out, I think that was the weekend I was in New York. You were talking about going to see it, and I was like, I'm so lukewarm on this movie that I was like, whatever. But I did see it. It is good, but I'm still very lukewarm on the film. But that's like an argument for different times.
Yeah. It would be a completely just under the radar movie had it not been for Lady Gaga's like pretty much stellar performance in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did do incredible. Like, there's no doubt about it. And Bradley Cooper directing it did really, really good as well. So, I mean, you have to give praise where, like, praise is due.
Yeah.
And then... Oh, shit, I closed out of the thing. 1 second. There was, like, 2 more pieces of news that I had ready. Okay. The last 2 things I'm going to talk about are a bunch of images today. Came out from the set of Star Wars, The Last Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker. A bunch of images came out. Some of them look cool. Some of them I'm like, okay, this is like very par for the course. And then a bunch of posters for Spider-Man Far From Home came out today. Did you guys see them? Do you guys care? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, I mean, I also saw that, what's her name? Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Oh, Billie Lourd?
Yeah. She begged, I think it was the Star Wars director to have her
J.J. Abrams?
with her mom. Yeah, to have a scene with her mom.
I think that's good. Yeah.
So now that's going to be in there. So now everybody's going to be super excited about that. And that's probably going to be in the trailer.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be in the next trailer, and everyone's going to cry. So I ship that. So, Ben, what do you think?
I saw the set photos. Kerry Russell looking like the Rocketeer in one of those. I mean, it's just one of those things like, I'm going to see it. Opening weekend probably. I really don't need my hype level to be like, pushed even farther. It's just kind of like, I know I'm going to watch this. It's the last one of the Skywalker saga. Or it probably should be. Yeah.
I think it'll be. Yeah, it'll be solid. And then that's like the last real piece of anything that I have. So you guys want to get into Game of Thrones?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And I think, what is there, 3 prequels in development? So, no fear, we're going to see more Westeros and Essos. I'm going to start off with that. Before we get into the talk about it, what in general was your opinion of Season 8 out of, like, a letters grade, like for a test?
Do you want to go, Ben?
Yeah, whoever goes first.
Okay. After sitting on the last episode for a while now, it maybe either a C+ or a B-.
Okay.
It had probably the best like acting and technical aspects, like kind of Hollywood wizardry.
Yeah.
Like all 8 seasons, but the pacing and storytelling is what I thought was really lacking. We've discussed this at length through our own personal correspondence, all 3 of us, but this needed a full 10 episodes season for it to really flesh out everything that they wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. Like, give it maybe a B-. I thought some of the storylines, at least to me, didn't match up. Mm-hmm. Especially with, like, Jamie. Like, you give him the whole... I call it the hot tub confession scene.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really a hot tub. He just has, like, a complete, like, breakdown. He's so vulnerable. And then you just have him all of a sudden be like, peace out, going back to my sister.
Yeah. I have some thoughts on that. For when we get into stuff. But I do agree. I would give it between a B- and a B. I think the highlights, like episode 2 and episode 4, the ones between the battles, and the final episode are they're pure Game of Thrones. They're like the most distilled version of what GOT is, and it made me so happy. Like, I loved those episodes. Even episode 1, having like all the players meet. It's like a game of chess. And episode 3 was a big letdown for a lot of people. And for me, I liked it, didn't love it. But you know what? I loved episode 5. I thought that was like a very big cathartic moment for me where I was like, oh, thank God she's evil. Like, just that. But yeah, I think it's a B. This final season should have been an A+++. And I think 10 episodes would have made it an A+++. And I think the biggest problem was pacing. And I think it was... And people say it was sloppy writing. I think it was writing to facilitate the time they had. And I don't know if that's exactly sloppy, but I think there was a lot left on the cutting room floor. For sure. So, how do you guys want to break this down? Do you want to break it down just by the finale? Or what do you guys want to do?
I think we've covered the previous 5 episodes. We might as well just, kind of go over the highs and lows of the finale, what we thought of each kind of plot point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go first.
We started off with pretty much immediately after King's Landing fell. We opened up on Tyrion, I believe.
Yes.
Pretty much walking through a city of ash.
Yes.
And I really liked this portion of it where it's just, silence aside from, atmospheric noise, footsteps and whatnot. And just, Tyrion walking through, just seeing the absolute devastation. You can pretty much see in Peter Dinklage's acting in his eyes, like he was 100% wrong to back Dany.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that, like, I just sold out my best friend, Varys, to get. I got him killed, and he was 100% right.
Yeah. I agree. I love that so much. Arianna, what do you think?
No, I liked it. I think the final episode was one of Peter Dinklage's best.
Yeah.
In the whole series.
Yeah, I agree. I think this episode was very much Peter Dinklage's episode. I really do. A lot of people were saying it was Jon's episode. I don't think so. I think Jon, you had to tie up a lot of loose ends with him, but this was definitely a Tyrion episode, and I think it was better for it. Because Tyrion really made a lot of the biggest calls of the episode, and he really, in a lot of ways, shaped the future of Westeros. And just some of the dialogue he gives later when he's on trial is so good. And some of the dialogue he gives in the cell with Jon or in his, like, holding room is just so pure Game of Thrones. And it does show that Dan and Dave, the writers, can write really good dialogue still when they have really good source material to sink their teeth into. So people are just like cutting them apart left and right. I don't think all that is exactly fair.
I like the scene, like what we said, the scene between Jon and Tyrion in this episode. I like the scene. I thought the acting was really well done. What I don't like is how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
And also I guess there was a portion of that where it's like, after everything that Jon saw being right in the middle of this city collapsing and burning around him, he still, for a minute, was wanting to defend Dany, and that was, to me, was just like, what? Like, how are you? You've just seen this woman eviscerate, tens of thousands of people, and you're still like, she's my queen. What are you thinking? That's the part that was just like, come on, what are we doing here? You shouldn't need Tyrion to convince you of what needs to be done.
So I think that showed a little bit of Ned Stark in him, and I did like that. I thought, like, Jon, get your head out of your ass. Like, walk outside and look at all the dead bodies, and look at the goddamn dragon and the big-ass Targaryen flag that's hanging over the Red Keep. Like, this is some serious Mad Queen stuff going on. And I do agree with that, but I do like the parallels between him and his uncle Ned Stark, and I think it does show that Jon's biggest sacrifice, or the tragedy of Jon Snow, is that he has to kill the person he loves to do the right thing, and that just tears him apart, and that's like his biggest punishment, is just like his own honor.
Yeah. I think there was like an article that I read where it was like, Jon might be a Targaryen, but he is Ned Stark's son.
Yeah, very
he's
much.
Ned in every way.
Yeah, he's like, it's like with when a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin. They flipped it the right way with him. And with Dany, maybe the wrong way.
Something I thought about after watching this, and I wanted to pose as a question to you guys, is what do you think Jorah's reaction to all of this chaos would have been had he lived through the Battle of Winterfell and made it to this point? Like, do you think he would have just been like, yep, that's our queen's prerogative to burn whoever the fuck she wants to burn? Or do you really think he would have been like, oh, not the right horse that I'm backing here?
Personally, I think Jorah would be a little bit Jon Snow-esque at the beginning, where he's like, she's our queen, until maybe she made the speech. I think when she doubled down on what she was doing, I think that's where he would have turned. Like, okay, maybe he would have given her the benefit of the doubt, and like, she was pissed, and she has a dragon. Who wouldn't? But then when she's like, we're gonna fuck everyone up, and we're gonna conquer the world, he would have been like, that's not good. Because Jorah had a moral compass. He did. And he did care about people as well, and like, he helped Tyrion, he helped fight for the living, and he put his neck out on the line. So I think he would have turned eventually.
I'll go one step behind that and say that he would have turned as soon as... Because Tyrion, he would have been there when Tyrion said, when the bells ring, they surrender.
Yeah.
So then once he saw Dany take Drogon and burn everyone, I think that's when he would have turned.
Okay. Yeah, you might be right. But yeah, it is interesting to think about that. I didn't even think about that. What would Jorah say? And I think we should have necklaces like that. Like, what would Jorah do? But I think that whole episode and episode 5 and 6 are just Varys being like, fucking knew it. Like, the whole time, it's Varys, like, looking down, just, like, laughing. Just, like, I was totally right. And so were so many other people. And I think the whole show, we were like, nah, Dany's the good guy. Dany's going to do this. Dany's going to be, like, the benevolent queen. And then we're like, oh, no, we were wrong.
It sucks for the list of, like, new baby names that were named after, like, Game of Thrones characters, and like Khaleesi and Daenerys were like top of the list. I'm wondering, like, if those parents were like, "Oy, not a good look."
Oh yeah, they're so mad. Like, girl came out as soon as, like, she burned everyone. They're like, yeah, everyone's kind of mad they named their kid Daenerys.
Yeah, it's like, maybe you should finish the show first.
Yeah. But props to Emilia Clarke in her, like, speech, like, her dictator speech. Like, she through her eyes, you could see, like, absolute madness and craziness. And she acted the shit out of that and the throne room between her and Jon.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows she can, fake a language really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although this scene where she's walking out and then Drogon opens his wings.
Yeah.
That's just great cinematography.
Yeah,
like,
that was a really cool scene.
What you say about the season's writing or how it went, the cinematography.
Yeah, Fabian Weber's the DOP, and he crushed it. And yeah, I think that scene's really good. And then the scene of Jon and Drogon in the ash, where Jon's walking into the throne room, and you have the wide shot of Drogon looking at him, is so good. Like, that scene gave me chills, because I didn't realize that was Drogon under the ash or snow or whatever it was. I think the books are
I think
still
it started off as ash near the beginning, but then eventually, like, the way that it kept falling for, like, the next 6 or 12 hours, and then how it kind of laid, I think it transitioned into snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it looked more white than anything.
Yeah. But I do love that, and I love the shot of the same shot of when Daenerys in season 2 was in the House of the Undying, where she's walking up to the throne in the destroyed room, and we're like, yes. And I heard a thing today where in that scene, if you go back, she's about to touch it, and you hear the dragons call, and then she like goes to see Khal Drogo and her son. They spoiled the end of the show there. She goes into the afterlife there. And, like, there's a bunch of people who are like, that's the end of the show. They spoiled it and no one realized. And George R.R. Martin, I think in an interview or something, said, like, yeah, you already know the ending. Like, all of you already know it and don't know it yet. Or he's like, I've already laid out the ending for everyone, but it's, like, right under your, like, noses as part of the ending. And I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah. Like, I think people just took the fact that, she was about to touch it and then got called away. Like, they didn't look at the whole scene. Which is, I feel like, how most of Game of Thrones spoilers happen. Like, nobody looks at, like, the full thing.
Yeah, and I think there's, like, the Azor Ahai prophecy, and a thing I was reading about that was, so it's, like, Azor Ahai, like, stabs his love in, like, the chest and then gets a flaming sword to, like, save the day. People are thinking that the flaming sword is Drogon burning the Iron Throne and having the flaming swords. And that's to fulfill the prophecy. And it's like Missandei says, don't look at prophecies too literally. It'll make it like they never work out that way. It's more broad than that. And a bunch of people are like, oh, they did fulfill all the prophecies, just not the way anyone thought they would.
What do you guys think that Drogon did with Dany's dead body after he flew away with it? I personally think he was like a cat that like eats its dead owner in its apartment. If no one finds it in like 6 days.
I was thinking the same thing, and I think he's going back over to Valyria, where like you saw him flying over, and I know maybe they'll do a sequel to Game of Thrones in the future. I think there's going to be baby dragons. I just have a feeling.
I'm hoping there's baby dragons.
Yeah.
I
just think, Ben, you have a good theory. I mean, it's a big-ass animal. Like, it's hungry.
I mean, naturally, we've seen that Drogon and the dragons in general have kind of, like, agency over what they do.
Yeah.
And we've seen that they just kind of will eat what they want to eat. So, I mean, to me, it would make sense that he would probably eventually eat her, but then also like fly back to where he knew there was lots and lots of things to eat, whether it be people or livestock or something. And he's just be like, all right, well, I got no one to tell me not to do this anymore.
Yeah, and I think he's probably going to go back over to Essos, where there's a lot of Dothraki who don't have bow and arrows. So he can go over there, and no one's going to hit him from the sky.
Oh, and how did these Dothraki and the Unsullied keep multiplying after I thought like all of them were killed in the Battle of Winterfell?
Yeah, that was my only, besides like some silly writing and some like contrivances with like how fast people can move from location to location. Yeah, that final shot of the army and like the ranks, that's my only big gripe was that. Like, if there was a lot less of them, and it was like crowds of people.
We were led to believe that as for Dothraki, there was maybe like 5 of them left.
Yeah.
That like were able to ride back after getting just wiped out by the whites. And then for the Unsullied, maybe like one squadron of them after they kind of held their ground.
Yeah.
But then in the past like couple episodes, we keep seeing their numbers just rise and rise, and it's just kind of like.
I would have accepted if someone in an offhanded line just said, "Oh yeah, Daenerys only had half the Unsullied fight in the battle for Winterfell and had the other half stationed somewhere." Like, if there was just some line like that where Varys is like, "Yeah, but you only brought half of your troops here." Like, if that one sentence, then they could have written that through, and maybe that's a deleted scene where Varys or Tyrion's like, "Why didn't you bring the whole army up here? Like, why did you leave half of them at Dragonstone?"
Yeah,
just
and
something.
They also mentioned when they were in the room talking strategy after the battle, and Daenerys was like, "I'm taking my men," and then Sansa was like, "You gotta kind of let them like rest. You only have half."
Yeah.
And then you show up with, like, a shit ton of people.
Yeah, I think, like, if they just kept that a bit more consistent, or at least had, like, 2 or 3 more lines of dialogue somewhere, you could have just totally written it off and been like, "Oh yeah, there's the rest of our army."
Yeah.
But I did like in the final episode that they did do, like, the 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later thing, and everyone's beard was longer. I did like that, and I think they should have done that more in the show, to, like, have time pass, where, like, people's beards and hair are more grown out, and then you can be like, "Oh yeah, time passed. There we go." And you literally write it off like that.
I didn't really like that
time
pass. Yeah, I thought it was kind of jarring.
Okay.
That we went from Drogon flying off with Dany, and then all of a sudden, bam, Tyrion walking out with Grey Worm into the council, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see the reaction, like, of whoever discovered Dany's missing body, I guess, because it had to have been Jon when, like, I killed the queen, arrest me, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, like, the reaction instead of it just being like, "Yep, we're here. We're here to believe that that Jon has not been immediately murdered by the Unsullied or the Dothraki."
Yeah.
There was too big of a gap there, and with too much like story content that I think needed time.
Yeah.
To be like,
felt like it was.
Yeah.
It was very rushed. I mean, I thought the whole season was rushed.
Yeah.
Last episode, super rushed.
I think the last episode could have been 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I wanted a whole episode of Dany the Mad Queen, and not just like 25 minutes before she gets stabbed and goodbye Emilia Clarke.
Well, so there's like 2 things with that. I found something on Instagram. It was like, you can't change your villain in 3 episodes to 3 different people.
Yes, I do agree. I think the show could have benefited not just from 10 episodes, but I think it could have benefited from 10 seasons.
Yeah. Well, I read that HBO told, like, George R. R. Martin and the showrunners, "We'll give you an extra 8 episodes, no problem. Like, we'll do it." And they were like, kind of like, "No, we're done. We want to finish it."
I can see a bit of fatigue setting in. Not like, I can't tell with the actors at least, but I could totally see that. Like, if your career for the past decade has been consumed by this, you have other stories you want to tell, and you have other things you want to do with your career. And it's not like a show you can just keep handing off to different writers. I think it's the same thing that happened with Peter Jackson and the Hobbit movies versus the Lord of the Rings. He's just like, "Oh shit, I have to do more of this," and then it got a bit lazy. Just like little things like the Starbucks cup, stuff like that, like just tiny little things kept, like, the seams started like pulling apart, and I don't think that's anyone's like fault, and I think that's just that happens.
Also, Sam, not only did he pretty much accidentally discover democracy, but he had accidentally discovered bottled water.
I saw that by his boot. Yeah.
Okay, since we summoned the Sam and democracy, who? I've been talking to the sheriff at my work about this. He was like, "Who is the guy sitting next to Sam? I can't figure it out, and like it's
yeah. There's 2 or 3 people in that council that I'm like, who the hell?
I think if I had to guess, I think maybe one of the people sitting next to Sam is from the Citadel or from Old Town. If I had to guess, is someone from like Old Town or maybe someone from like Casterly Rock who like is occupying it, or someone from like Storm's End. And then one of the other people by Robin Aaron, who got really tall. That kid grew and now looks like an adult instead of like a goofy
all that
ass
breast milk.
Yeah, it's all that breast milk made him look like not a goofy ass little kid. And that kid, and then there's like one other person. I think those are like maybe the new head of House Mormont, or like even though that house is gone, but maybe the next person to take over. Or maybe a representative from, like, the Night's Watch. And just, like, because they said, like, the representatives of the great houses. So maybe it's, like, whatever that, like, House Baelish and, like, other stuff like that. And I'm sure in the documentary that's coming out this coming Sunday, they'll say that. It'll be like, oh, this is a representative from this house and this house. And that whole part with Tyrion, that could have been a whole episode. Instead of...
What do you guys think of the decision... or the justification for Bran the Broken being our new head of the 6 kingdoms now?
I understand the logic behind it. Like, making him, make the Three-Eyed Raven leader. I understand it. But, I mean, it's not anything that I would have wanted, personally. And also, it's kind of like, you have an heir to the throne. Like, Varys was already sending out all those letters. Like, are you just going to skip over that?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Nothing came of that either.
Yeah, so it's like, everyone knows who Jon Snow really is, so...
Yeah,
in theory, he should be on the throne.
Yeah, Jon should. I think I like the Bran decision for 2 reasons. One, because they just have, like, the justification that Bran is the, like... pool of all knowledge in Westeros, so it would make logical sense that he would be either on the Iron Throne or the Hand of the King. He would be one of those 2 positions because you would want him to either rule or help ruling. I didn't think it'd be Tyrion because people don't exactly like Lannisters. I didn't think it would be another Targaryen, because I think we just had a bad experience with a Targaryen in the last few weeks, so that's why I was like, it's not going to be Jon. Because, like, we're like, maybe we don't like Targaryens right now. I was thinking it would either be Sansa or Sam. Those are my 2 bets that I was giving at the beginning of the season.
When Sansa didn't give her, like, eye right away... I thought she was going to be like, nah, fuck that. I deserve to be queen on the throne. Like, I really was like, oh, shit. Like, let's get a little bit more attention here. But then she was like, but then I really did like what she said. She's like, no, we're not going to be, the North is no longer going to be under you guys. Like, we're going to be our own thing.
I like that, but I have a thing with it, because Yara wanted that too.
That's true.
So then she just sit there and like, yeah, I'll be a part of this.
And you would think, like, also...
It's like...
You would think also, the Prince of Dorne also would be like, hey, if these fuckers are getting their own kingdom, like, why don't we? Like, we got an entire army, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do see that for sure. But I think the reason Sansa did, because it's her brother. I think that's a little bit of the justification. But I think the Bran becoming king is a George R. R. Martin thing. That is last episode. Yeah, the last episode is very George R. R. Martin. And so is Daenerys going crazy. But I think it was just condensed. Like, a whole book was in 2 episodes instead of 10. But that felt very George R. R. Martin, that you would have Bran, who's like the Three-Eyed Raven and this magical entity rule. And I really, from that point where Bran's like, why do you think I came all this way? Like, he knew that he was going to become king the whole time. And that's why he kept looking at Tyrion the whole time. He's like, he's going to be my hand of the king. And like all this other stuff. I genuinely do like that. And that felt very George R. R. Martin, that Bran knew the whole time. He's like,
I'm just going to be like logical. if Bran knew what was gonna happen, wouldn't you think he would have told, like, someone that Dany was gonna kill everyone?
I think maybe it's one of those Doctor Strange in Endgame where it's like, if I tell you, it won't play out this way and it will go worse. Like, this is the only way for this to work without her killing us. And that's like the justification I will give it, but maybe it's something different. But maybe George R. R. Martin will write that into the books, or that's one of his things where he's like, Bran maybe has a vision, because it's all POV chapters, and Bran's like, I can't say anything. Like, I have to let this play out.
My issue with Bran getting on the throne, like, I'm okay with him actually sitting there, but when he says the line, like, why do you think I came all this way? And pretty much implying that he's known everything that was going to happen this whole time, but at least once he got his status as the Three-Eyed Raven, it kind of goes against a lot of the, like, the moral of a lot of the seasons where, you know, people keep, or like, you know, people like Jon and Tyrion keep saying, like, you know, we're not like our fathers. We have the choices, or we have choices we can make to, you know, carve our own path. When Bran pretty much says, it's all been decided already, I know how it's going to happen, like, that kind of goes against, like, you know, you do have the choice, you have the agency to carve your own path and be your own man. I don't know, it just kind of gets rid of everything except for it was all already predestined.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I didn't even think of it like that, but that is a really interesting way to look at it. And yeah, it does undercut a few of the things, or a lot of things that happen in the show. But I do think maybe that's part of George R. R. Martin's plan, where a lot of the show is him doing something and then being like, nope, I'm subverting the expectation. Maybe sometimes for the sake of subversion, but other times maybe it is to, like, I don't like to say to teach a lesson, but it may show, like, the ends don't always justify the means, or, like, maybe it's not as glorious as you think, and maybe this, like, life doesn't play out the way you want it to. And I do like that, but there's other times where I'm like, okay, like, just stop left turning so hard.
Yeah. I thought it was funny how I saw this on Facebook today, it was the shot of, like, the Iron Throne with the steps, and it's like, Bran will never get on here. And
oh, yeah.
The next one, it was like, Drogon knew, so he burned the throne.
Yeah. And I saw one, it's like, you can't dethrone the king if he's always in the chair, kind of thing. Like, all those, like, memes, it's like, okay, like, let's settle down, everybody. But I think it's interesting because George R. R. Martin said he only let Dan and Dave do the show if they predicted the end. So they must have predicted it. And that was a real thing, and Dan and Dave did verify that, and other people who were in the HBO meeting verified it officially. They were like, yeah, they guessed it.
Yeah, I know they had to guess who Jon Snow's father was.
Yeah, they had to guess the father, they had to guess who would be the final person on the Iron Throne, and they had to guess what was going to happen to Jon in the end. Or, like, what was going to happen to Jon and Dany in the end. They had to guess, like, 3 things, like, 3 or 4 things, and they guessed them all. And I'm like, okay. Like,
speaking of Jon,
yeah,
what are we to make of his ending? Like, you know, he gets sent to the Night's Watch, which is still apparently a thing now.
I thought that was done once the wall came down.
Yeah, but now he goes past the wall and walks off with Tormund and, you know, Ghost. Thank God, Ghost.
Yeah.
But yeah, is he like a wildling now? Is he just kind of like, nah, fuck the Night's Watch, I'm just going to be with the people?
So I have a very funny theory about this. First, Jon might be the new 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. His watch has ended because he died and came back to life, so he's not really part of it anymore, and I'm sure he's a legend up there. And the Night's Watch is kind of defunct because they have nothing to watch over, so I'm sure they convinced Grey Worm, who doesn't know what the Night's Watch is, to send Jon to the Night's Watch, where they know Jon is happy, he's with his dog, and his best friend Tormund, and they're like, Jon, you have to go to the Night's Watch. He's like, oh, pretend to be sad. Jon, we'll see you later. Have fun up there. Wait for Grey Worm to leave and then come back kind of thing. And I almost think it was a little bit of that where they're like, it's like when you send your kid to his room or her room with their Xbox in their room. It's like, are you really, though? It's kind of what I felt that end was. And I think that was kind of a good end for Jon where he was like, yeah, okay. Like, it could be way worse. Like, he hated King's Landing. It's like, It's like, now go to your room and eat cake and ice cream. It's like, okay. I honestly felt a little bit of that for Jon.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that he really wants to die again.
Yes.
Like, he was waiting for Drogon to kill him. But him going to up with the wildlings, I think it's fitting because he was always happiest up there.
Yeah.
He never wanted the throne, never wanted anything to do with it. He just wanted to be free. So he's going. And I think the same thing for Grey Worm.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in, I think it's Narth with Missandei.
Yeah.
And that's where he went, even though she didn't make it.
Yeah. And
but
I read a really cool thing about the prediction of the 3 dragons. And I was wrong. I thought all 3 dragons were going to die. But, so, Viserion is named after Viserys. Viserys is evil. Viserion turns evil. Rhaegal is Jon's father. Rhaegar Targaryen got killed by Robert Baratheon. Just kind of like, just gets obliterated. Gets killed with that warhammer. And just like wiped out instantly. The dragon gets wiped out instantly. The final dragon is Drogon, who's Khal Drogo, who's a warmongering monster. And that's why Drogon's the big aggressive dragon, because it's named after the big aggressive guy. So the dragons parallel the people who they're named after. And it's one of those things that I think George R.R. Martin put in there. It's like, there's a parallel. So you'll see, maybe the dragons are the same as the people. And, I think that's a very interesting parallel that, like, the dragon Daenerys kills everyone on is the barbarian warlord dragon, who said that's like the speech Dany gave where it's like, I will come to the west and tear down everyone's stone houses. And that's what Khal Drogo said before he gave Viserys the crown of metal, the crown of gold. That's what he said. And Viserys is like, this is my kingdom. I want the crown of gold. And Khal Drogo's like, I'll give you your crown of gold. Which we can get into for our top 5 Game of Thrones moments for each of us before we wrap up the show. That's one of mine. The crown of gold moment.
It is one of mine as well.
Yes, very good. I think the one thing that 2 things that I kind of wished in this last episode was, one, if Cersei and Jaime just moved like 2 feet to their right or their left, like
they would
There was
have.
a lot of open space.
That they lived, because I would have loved to see like Dany think she won, and then you just see Cersei come out of nowhere and actually fight and like die in battle.
That would have been interesting. Or have Jaime kill Daenerys just out of nowhere. Just like, everyone would have been like, what just happened? Like, that would blow people's minds.
A golden fist just travel through her chest.
Yeah, you just see it fly out of the side of the screen and kill her. It's like, everyone would be like, what? And you just like hear George R.R. Martin laughing, just like, yeah, this is my ending.
Yeah, he'd be like a Kingslayer and a Queenslayer.
Yeah.
Get 2 roles. But
yeah.
The second was, I was really hoping that it was going to be Arya to kill Dany, but she would take Jon's face.
I was hoping for a faceless man moment, but I think we'll get one in the book.
Yeah, she was there, like, doing that for like 2 whole seasons. You only use it once.
Yeah. I do like the scene where Jon's like looking at Dany, turns over and Arya's right there, and he's startled. He's like, how the hell did you get up here? I thought then she was going to do something faceless man. Like, where she was just like appeared next to him.
Hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
she
how'd you
just
get
came
there?
back as the Night King, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how'd you get there? Motherfucker, I killed the Night King, and all anybody felt was like a wisp of wind.
Yeah, exactly. It's like...
Like, I think I can sneak up on your tiny little ass, Jon Snow.
Yeah, and I love that line at the end of the episode where he's like, I don't think anyone at the Night's Watch would ever tell you what to do. Just, like, showing how badass Arya is. And same with Sansa becoming the queen in the North. Just, like, showing how powerful those 2 women really are for very similar but different reasons.
I like the details that they put on the end.
Yes.
Like with whole Sansa's, like, coronation or whatever.
Yeah.
Her gown, everything related to everyone, really, that influenced her. And then at the end, it's when Jon and Tormund are looking out at the gate and it's opening up and they walk out. That's the exact same opening scene of the first episode ever.
Yes. I did notice that. And, like, I saw people do, like, screen grabs next to each other. Yeah. I'm like, that's really cool. I thought we would get, like, the spiral Children of the Forest White Walker thing at the end. Like, it would pan out and you'd see that. Like, it all is, like, cyclical. Yeah. But I think they did it very subtly. I think maybe the books will end more cyclically, where it's like, so it continues.
Yeah. I think the books he's finishing his next one by 2020.
I have heard that.
But that could also be a lie. He has taken forever.
The guy who played Barristan Selmy did say something very subtly where he says that both books are done. And I think that guy might be on something where those books are done and they're just sitting and waiting for maybe the show to be done. Maybe George R. R. Martin and his like publicist and everyone else is like, wait for the show to be done. Release them afterwards, after a little bit of the show hype has died. Maybe like release them around Christmas. Like one of the books and then the other book 3 years from now. And maybe it's one of those things like even if George dies, the books are done. Like regardless, and they're like just like sitting in the hopper waiting to come out. I don't know, but I could see that being the case. Because he knows the end already.
Yeah. He said that someone asked him, is this the same ending as the book? Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't know yet. It could be the same, could not be the same. You're just going to have to read the book and find out. Which is all well and good, but we're going to have to wait a while.
Yeah, it's like, come on, fuck you, George. Like, can't you give us anything? And he's just like... Yeah.
I get writing a book is hard, but... I mean...
Yeah, it's one of those like, damn it, like, what are you doing? Like, why you gotta do this to us?
Just imagine the paycheck at the end of the road, Mr. Martin. Like, you're going to make so much fucking money once these books come out.
And I feel like it's gonna kind of be like a Friends thing, where you even get, like, money when, like, someone watches it. Like, Friends, you get paid for reruns.
Oh, yeah. So, 100%. All these actors never have to work a day in their life again.
They were making, I think, $100,000 an episode for this season.
Holy
I think. I could
shit.
also be wrong.
I mean, that sounds right. I know Peter Dinklage and Nikolai Coster-Waldau this season were the two top bill.
Yeah.
But Peter Dinklage had been for a while.
Yeah. Although I did like Lena. She just got paid to be in like a couple of minutes and just drink wine and watch things.
Yeah, and Lena Headey, just like, people are like, she didn't do enough this season. I agree. But every second she's on screen, she steals every single scene. She's a brilliant performer, and she's one of those people you love to hate, but for a different reason than you love to hate Joffrey. But Lena Headey, you're like, this person's maniacal in a very, like, high-level way, where Joffrey's just a little shit. Like, Cersei is just, like...
She's the perfect villain.
Yeah, she's the devil. Like, and I love it so much. And, like, that's why I wish she had more to do, because I think Cersei, for a lot of reasons, was one of my favorite characters on the show. And after the show's over, I'm like, yeah, every scene she's in, like, you can't look away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, she even said people will, like, come up to her in the street and just, like, curse her out and say, I hate you. And she's like, I think I did a really good job, but, like, it's just a show.
Exactly.
Like, I'm really nice.
Yeah, and apparently she's one of the nicest people on set. Like, she was, like, the one who, like, would play pranks on people, and everyone was like, yeah, Lena Headey was, like, the nicest person out of anyone on set. Which I feel like if you're playing such a monster, you kind of have to be in real life just a really nice person to offset it. But apparently her and the person who plays Braun hate each other.
Oh yeah, they had a bad breakup. It was written in their contract that they can't be in any scenes together.
Oh,
which is why, like, in the season when Cersei's hand comes in and is like, the queen wanted me to give you this bow and arrow instead of her doing it herself, is because they couldn't be in the same scene together. Yeah,
do you know why they didn't like each other? Because there's something that happened.
Super, super bad breakup. Like, bitter on both ends, and they just could never, like, stand each other at all.
Oh.
So it's, like, written in their contract when they all got hired that they cannot be in the same room at all together.
Holy
and if you look
shit.
at set photos, they're never together either, even if they're in the same place shooting.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a bummer. And both those actors are fantastic. Like, they're genuinely great actors. And it's just, like, a bummer to see that. And I'm sure on set that made it, like, a bit awkward for a lot of the other people to, like, be in the middle of that. But, yeah. We can do a top 5 next week if you guys want. But is there anything else you want to say before the episode wraps up?
I guess it's just like, no matter how the final season ends, I'm always going to remember Game of Thrones as being like a phenomenal TV show that brought me much viewing pleasure It's one of the few shows that I can remember in my lifetime where it's been like, since the creation and kind of popularization of streaming viewing. It's one of the few shows that I have just sat down and watched as it aired.
Yeah.
Every Sunday night once I got into the show. And I can't think of any other, I guess, prestige drama other than, well, it's not even a drama, like Barry currently. I won't miss that any Sunday. But yeah, Game of Thrones, I've been there since probably like halfway through season 1, and it's just been a wild ride. I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Even the ups and downs, I still love the show. I'll be forever grateful to the showrunners for giving me all of us just an awesome show to watch.
Yeah, it was event television for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think Game of Thrones is one of the shows that made TV more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like, movies are the big screen, TV's like the silver screen, but it brought TV back.
It did. And
then you have like all the other shows, like with like if Meryl Streep is going to be in a limited TV series, TV must be doing something extremely right now.
Yeah, I really, really do agree, and I think as someone who also all three of us, like speaking for all three of us and myself, as people who do create things and write for film in general, like, and for the medium that is cinema, I'm not ashamed if I created something and we created something and it went to a television thing or a streaming service or cable instead of a cinema. I think maybe you asked me as this person a few years ago, I'd be like, oh, it's just TV. But I think right now, if someone was like, hey, the blank project that we're all working on, just to not say too much, the blank project you're working on, we would like to convert this into blank miniseries or like a one-off on HBO or on Netflix or on Hulu or on whatever, I would still be honored and be like above, like, I couldn't, like, I can't even like formulate the right proper sentence for it, just because I think we are in a new golden age of television where TV is, I think, taken more seriously. And I think Game of Thrones, Mad Men, shows like Breaking Bad, shows like The Wire back in like the early 2000s paved the way for this. And I think we're only going to go up from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just seeing the past couple of weeks, HBO is doing their little, here's shows that are coming out soon, like before each episode. Yeah, like I'm excited for Watchmen, and I'm excited for His Dark Materials. Yes. Like these shows that are
so excited for that one.
Clearly, like taking a lot of inspiration from Game of Thrones, and it's high fantasy, high drama. But yeah, His Dark Materials looks fucking awesome, and I can't wait for that.
I have a question: is that the Golden Compass?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I saw the trailer for it, and I haven't looked into it. Oh yeah, it's a piece of news. I saw the trailer for it, and I was aware of the Golden Compass because those books came out when I was a kid. Or maybe some of them did. And the movie came out in like 2006 or whatever with Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and I was like, this is weird but cool. And then I saw that trailer. I'm like, whoa, wait. Is that what they're doing? Is His Dark Materials the name of the series? Or is that the name of...
It's a series and the Dark Compass is like a sub.
Oh, so are they doing all of the books kind of like Game of Thrones? Like, because I know there's a bunch of books.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they're breaking down seasons, like whether it's going to be like a book per or season, like for a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure on that, but I'm almost certain that they have discussed, like, yeah, they're going to, as long as they don't, cancel it because of lack of viewership. But yeah. I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get through the whole series.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like, yeah, with that, with Watchmen, with the Game of Thrones Long Night or Blood Moon, whatever they're calling it now, prequel, with, on a different hand, Lord of the Rings on Amazon, or the Tolkien-averse on Amazon, with The Witcher going to Netflix. Like, we're in for some seriously great TV for a very long time, and love it or hate it, the streaming service for Disney is going to have some pretty primo stuff on there.
Yeah, and it's going to be super cheap to begin with, apparently.
Yeah, it's only
it's like $6, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you can pay I think it's like $70 for like the whole year.
Yeah.
So, like a one and done type thing.
That's one of those, like, Disney knows what they're doing, but it's still like a shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good, and I'm excited to see what comes next for, like, that side. And I think it does open the door for other creators everywhere, and people like us who are ambitious and have something, because a lot of these shows and a lot of these big companies are looking at small creators who make something really unique, and they're like, we want you to work with us. And this isn't me tooting our horns or my own horn, but it is something to be said for these big companies are looking at smaller creators who may do something for TV or even YouTube or just like an indie film, because they can see that these people have a vision. And I think that's what people are lacking. And a lot of things have become so samey that you want a little bit of flair.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else?
No.
So I will sign this off. Ben, you can sign us off officially. We have a website. Arianna, do you want me to link your social media?
Oh, of course, yes.
Where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at just my name, Arianna Tate. And you find me on Instagram at arianna.tate.
And yeah, and then Ben, sign us the hell off.
As always, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Arianna, thank you so much for coming and being with us this week. Come back anytime.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, this has been See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I am Ben, signing off for the week. Thank you, guys.